of our Last Chance Titanium Series qualifier. So, we have finished our 6 rounds of Swiss. We have gotten to our top 8, and we have chosen Evan Whitehouse on Dredge, Chris Tourloukis on Eldrazi and Taxes, and Chris is leading with that ever dangerous turn 1 Eldrazi Temple.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a nice one to have. Ooh. That's for sure. And you know what? He intimated to me before this match started that he has no idea what his opponent is playing. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how you fail to scout a 6-round, 35-person tournament. I don't know how that happens.
Hey, man, not one of his skills. He just doesn't have somebody run in the room for him.
Right, you know? I guess. So, Steam Vents, this is not going to be what he thinks, because when your opponent goes Steam Vents on tap, you think it's an op? Nope. It's a neonate.
Insolent neonate. That's definitely a giveaway. And so, Gig is up. Doesn't get to just hold up the. Doesn't get to hold up the Steam Vents and have them work with other information, but laying that Lightning Greaves. That is not irrelevant against a conflict rate, let's be honest.
No, it's really not. Lightning, I mean, he's going to have to put some kind of a clock on.
Evan probably not happy about those 2 Narcomoebas just jumping into play, even though it is nice to have 2 flying power. Really looking for that to be in the graveyard at the same time as prized amalgams and other such creatures, but that's what happened with that Dredge 3.
Yeah, I mean, when you play against Dredge, unfortunately you are at the mercy of what the top 20 cards are. If the bottom 20 cards have 4 Narcomoeba, the bottom 40 cards have 4 Narcomoeba.
He is our head judge of the event. Coming on over, remarking upon, is he actually playing Lightning Greaves? It's just like, yeah, it's a modern playable card. And another one of those Mirrodin cards that constantly gets forgotten about, Mesmeric Orb. I constantly get called out on Trinisphere. People People forget that card's in Modern.
People think it's banned or something?
People think it's from a non-Modern legal set because I've played the Invention, and they're just like, that card's in Modern? And then my Storm opponent goes, ew.
Oh, God. Alright, so let's see what's going on here.
Yeah.
We've been dredging, but here,
there's
look at this.
There's that turn 3 Thought-Knots here.
This is a Thought-Knots here.
So, I'll take that. So, Dark Blast dredges 3 as well as Life from the Well, I believe.
Yeah, it does, and it doesn't matter too much here.
Because Evan is already working from his graveyard. He's got a Golgari Thug, he's got Stinkweed, and he's got other things going on in his graveyard. He's got a Faithless Looting, so he's got plenty of gasoline for his dredge engine here. Nonetheless, gets to hasten up with his Lightning Greaves and go to town.
I mean, really, if you're casting a turn 3 Thought-Knots here, what do you wish your turn 2 was? A Lightning Greaves.
Now probably less than happy about that. Stinkweed dredging for 5, hitting 2 more Narcomoebas, and that Prize Amalgam is going to get triggered. So definitely a lot of roadblocks for Chris to deal these last 16 points of damage, and Evan gets to chip in with essentially made his own lingering souls over the last couple of turns. Definitely not unhappy with the clock that he's going to be putting on Chris, but
I mean, really, each player has 4 power, right?
Right.
This is a little ridiculous. Like, if Chris just had what do you say, electrickery? That would be great.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, but the roadblock, as happens with a lot of these fair creature decks, Dredge starts to put up roadblocks. Like Stinkweed Imp is just an absolute monstrosity, and Prized Amalgam is just going to continue to go to town. I think Chris is already going to be on pretty close to a 4-turn clock, and if Evan just dredges into a conflagrate, it gets even quicker. I don't think there's too much interaction from the other side of the table. Chris can play as many Thought-Knot Seers as he wants, but
Right, they're just going to trade with Stinkies.
that doesn't do much against the rest of the interaction and the 5 power of flying in play.
Funny part is, too, that the Thought-Knot Seer draw trigger is dredgeable. And that is ugly. You never want to give your opponent a dredge trigger.
Right. So the typical getting to Eldrazi Displacer and just sending.
Yeah, I like this play a lot from Chris. I mean, his opponent has taken a lot of damage from his own lands, as well as a hit from Thought-Knot Seer. 12 is the approximate life total. It might be 11. But this represents more than half of Evan's life total, for sure.
Exactly. And if he gets to deploy the Flicker Wisp, maybe surprise Evan with some flying damage.
Right, like Flicker Wisp, Eldrazi Displacer, Flicker Wisp, attack all in. Whoa!
I mean,
not the craziest thing I've ever seen.
No. Certainly, maybe just displacing the Narcomoebas out of the way and getting in for the last points of damage, but Evan does choose to chump with both of his Narcomoebas, which chips into Evan's own clock, which matters here.
It does. I mean,
Dredge Thug.
for as lucky as Evan's gotten on his 4 Narcomoebas, he's only hit 1 Amalgam so far.
True. There is not much help
No
there.
Bloodghasts.
No Conflagrate, no Bloodghasts. I did also play against Evan at the team open in Philly last week as well, and he turned 2 Cathartic Reunit.
Okay.
Dredge 13.
Oh, what?
Put 3 Amalgams into the yard and hit no Narcomoebas.
Ooh. Any blood gas?
Nothing. Not a single piece of material. So, to those who say that Golgari Grave Troll might be fine to bring back, I say folly to use it. Folly.
It's fine in that it would be dealt with, right? People would just play twice as much Graveyard Hate as they do now, but do you want that to be the case?
Pro Black Knight, I feel like Lightning Greaves is only good in bad blue Tron decks. It's just like, well, it's certainly doing a lot of work here. As the one of fun of on Chris's side of the board. Again, results-based testing is bad, and we don't want to say, just because it worked, it's good here, but this Lightning Greaves is doing a lot of work from Chris's side of the table this game. I'm sure, based on Chris's testing, that he has reasoning for his Lightning Greaves. Can't pretend to know, so... Did he finally hit a Bloodghast here? He did. Dredging 3. There's a Neonate, a land, and another Life in the Loam. So just 1 Bloodghast. No Amalgams in the yard. Not a lot going on.
Yeah, it seemed like with the first turn Dredge, second turn Dredge, this would be a quick game. Chris is actually putting up a fight here. He's soon going to be, he is able to displace twice in a turn.
I play a mountain
Yeah, Evan, I'm sure Evan knows that he has to be very careful about what he leaves back to block. And Amalgam can block, correct?
Yeah, it definitely.
Bloodghast cannot.
It comes into play tap, but it can block.
Gotcha.
right now,
So, assuming nothing else happens with this turn, Chris just gets to displace Stinky and Prized Amalgam and force Evan to chump with more.
It's pretty good.
It's a lot of pressure.
Or displace only Stinky, another Thought-Knot Seer.
Sure.
But he wouldn't want to lose his displacer in combat.
Sure. Evan sending.
I believe Chris is at 10 life. I was a little incorrect about the life total. I do believe it's 10.
What are the other matchups?
We didn't even do that, did we? So, as Chris untaps, I'll walk you through that. On the other side of on the side of Chris's bracket, We have Ben Riley with Cheerios versus Tom Marino with Mill. Two sub 1% decks for sure.
Two ships in the night.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Then Andrew Jetty on Eldrazi Tron against Kane Reinhardt on Marty Pyromancer. I think that's going to be an uphill matchup for Kane.
Okay.
And then Tim Connolly on Jeskai Geist against Kane Ferguson with Blue-Red Breach. So those Geists applying a clock might be very beneficial
by counter magic,
to motor before Ferguson gets to Blue-Red Breach.
Yep. So
his way into some Evercools.
Chris did Thought Knot, A Life from the Loam, equip it with Greaves, Displacer the Stink, and come in with an army. That's right.
I mean, 11 power. Like, you're definitely not feeling too comfortable about going to one with multiple Displacer activations available next turn.
Yeah, we should. Well, we might see a chump block here on Evan's side of the board. I mean, really, what's the real difference between 1 and 5, I guess?
Sure.
Not huge. And if you're planning on conflagrating for the win, if that's the case,
no conflagrates, no other amalgams in the yard. There's a lot of cards in Evan's graveyard, but do we see too much of interest? Just going to 1.
Going to 1 life.
Probably dredging 4 off of this Thug.
Yeah, I think if a Narcomoeba is hit, the game's over. If we have Chris's 10 life total correct. If we hit a Conflagrate, the game might be over too. We don't. Oh my god.
An incredible amount of Evan's deck in the yard and not a whole lot going on. That is brutal.
I have to get vengeance on you, Chris. I mean, this didn't do anything in the end, but that's so bad. Their totals are meant to be spent.
Evan, deep in the tank here. This is his main phase.
Yeah, good thinking. I'm gonna attack you.
He didn't hit a Bloodghast he needed. He didn't hit a Conflagrate he needed. He has available to him Faithless Looting, though.
Sure.
Will he go for that?
Seems like the only avenue to try to find something else, right?
Ooh, cycle Sheltered Thicket. He wants to keep 2 mana up.
And replace it with a Dredge 4. There's that Conflagrates. 2 of them even. So definitely fortunate that how much can Evan actually conflagrate for here?
4. I think that'll be enough. Unless we're really incorrect about Chris's life total. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. That was surprisingly close.
Yep.
And honestly, I gotta say, a lot of it was the haste from that Lightning Greaves.
Mm-hmm.
If that was just a simple interactive card like a Fatal Push, that wouldn't have made a difference.
Doesn't do anything here. So, well, here's the matchup where Rest in Peace is slamming from Chris's sideboard into his 60 here. What else are we looking to do, though?
Settle the Wreckage seems pretty spicy.
It seems
Exile.
pretty spicy.
Exile.
Exile those cards, sir. What seems poor? Campbell.
Campbell might actually be okay. What's not okay is like Flicker Wisp is not great, and as we see him pull the Flicker Wisp to the front, trade with Narcomoeba, that's very bad.
Not what we're after.
Leonin Arbiter.
Displacer
I don't know how good Leonin Arbiter is.
It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of searching through libraries going on here. So definitely Rest in Peace coming aboard. You're betting on Settled Wreckage.
I think so.
Coming on in.
It looks like Chris is boarding in about 8 cards, so what do you think the other 4 would be?
I would maybe Zealous Persecution to pitch him off of Narcomoebas and Bloodghasts for a turn. Maybe Sin Collectors just to get Life from the Loams that are sitting in Evan Whitehouse's hand if he's trying to rev up for a big Conflagrate turn, something like that. So, let's see. Two recipes. Would you bring in Forge Tender just for Conflagrate? Because he's going to pitch through so many cards.
I mean, it's like you're bringing in only for one card, but at the same time, Dredge goes through so much of their deck that, like, at some point...
they're inevitably going to see it, and you know that it's so good against you. It just essentially ends the game. In my Humans matchup, Meddling Mage had to be on Conflagrate almost immediately.
Yeah.
As soon as turn 2 Meddling Mage, without a doubt, okay, Conflagrate.
It just is. Like, what else are you going to name? Cathartic, Faithless?
Right.
I
It's
guess,
just
but...
Plague Wind. It's just Plague Wind for 2 mana. Come on. So, from the Dredge side of the table.
The often not thought about Dredge side. I feel like Thoughtseize is coming at every opportunity because everyone has graveyard hate.
And Lightning Axe seems especially good against our Thought-Knot Seers and just incremental value creatures. I don't think we're bringing in Ancient Grudges just for Vials, are we?
No, not just for Vials. For Lightning Greaves.
Ding. Golgari Charm. But
how about Knot of the Bone?
Just make the game grind on for so long off of not a. So this is where my knowledge of Dredge will fall apart. What the heck do you take out?
The eternal.
What the heck do you
question,
take out?
Right?
You're not taking out your Dredgers. You're not taking out Faithless Looting.
Right. So what usually comes out in these kinds of decks are the cards that are really good game one, like super linear, just completely
Rally the Peasants.
Contribute to your plan. Right, like Rally the Peasants, like Bloodghast is a prime one to take out.
Sure.
Because like it gets hit hardest by the graveyard hate, and it does the worst in the face of like Thalia and stuff like that. So I think that's what we'll be looking for. Rally, like you said.
Rally at Dark Blast, not probably doing a whole ton here.
Maybe good against Thalia, but that's about it. Flicker Wisp, but Chris sided them out.
And you'd have to anticipate from Evan's side of the board that the 3/1 flyers coming out. Like, it just doesn't seem where we want to be. But
right.
Let's see how it all adds up here. Let's see it. Ooh, I do see the Zealous Persecution.
The eternal problem of a white mage afterboard. You have a good hand, but it doesn't have your ultimate hate card. Do you keep or do you maul?
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep or do you maul?
Keeping.
Looks like he's keeping.
Even more dangerous, Dredge keeping 7. Leading on an Insolent Neonate, and golly, does that make me scared. So,
another question presented to Chris Tourloukis. His second in the game on only turn 2. Do you play Thalia to advance your game plan, or do you play Sculler to disrupt your opponents?
I feel like
I'm tempted to play Sculler here.
I am too. Thalia, Chris knows better than us.
Yeah, he does.
He's the more experienced mage. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah, hasn't lost a match today.
No. The good old double draw.
So if we're looking at other sides of the top 8, like we were talking about earlier, Andrew Jetty, top 8'd last month with his Eldrazi Tron deck, versus Kane Reinhardt, who with main deck Blood Moons. Gotta give it to Kane, right? Wow, and what's going on here? What just happened this turn?
So he popped Insolent Neonate and put Bloodghast into the yard, and there is rest in peace.
Wow.
Alrighty.
So this game is like capital O over, or what's up? He has one Golgari charge.
He has 2 Abrupticase. But well, there's the answer to that question.
Well, that was fun.
Did not have any of those cards. So So big time. Yeah. So in light of that, if Evan hadn't already brought them in, the Abrupticase have to be in for Rest in Peace, right? Like, it's really your only answer to that card at all.
Yeah, so like when you're sideboarding with Dredge, right? You think
And you have to take more natural draw steps, which is awkward based on the fact that you're a Dredge deck and you want to be dredging, and you have to take draw steps just to find your sideboard cards and instead of dredging them away. He doesn't just get to pitch for Ancient Grudges and try to get Grafdigger's Cages.
no. If it's a rip, that's really bad news. I mean, there's no Ray of Revelation in this deck.
No.
Also, it's like when you're Dredge and you're playing against a white deck or even a black deck with the ley line, you think to yourself, well, they have between 0 and 4, and I don't know, and I'm up a game. Do I really board an Abrupticate? The possibility.
Looks like Evan is making that decision.
Now we have at least the knowledge that Chris has at least one, right? We don't know how many if we're Dredge, but we know it's at least one.
So, what cards? This is not to say that he didn't take them all out, but we at the very least saw Bloodghast.
Ah, it's true. Yeah.
So maybe just the fact that Chris's creatures in terms of power and toughness are not all that impressive that we just want to keep sending with Bloodghasts. But that is... Oh, what do we have going on here?
We got a reader.
Oh, gotcha.
More acceptable in Modern than in Limited.
Yes. Do you know how many people I've had to have read one Vulias and Moss? And then only to have me turn them over and them be Russian? Let me get the Oracle text of that card for you.
That's awesome. I mean, it's not a complicated card. You could just tell them, but at the same time.
2 green, destroy target land, get a forest out of my deck, and put it into play tapped.
Oh, you're pretty good at reciting that one out.
Done. I've had to do it plenty of times.
So Evan, switching things up a little bit after sideboard. Chris leaving things the same.
We're gonna chime in when other results are in. We're trying to see if our man Thomas Arena is on the prowl
right now.
You know what? Why don't I take a trip around and see if there are any match results just yet?
Ed, I can't make it without you.
You better be able to.
Never let go, Ed.
You've been doing this for months without me.
Never let go. All right, guys. So
we'll also get commentary on the James Jones match.
There we go. Yeah. Get the EDH game going on camera here. So we're talking Andrew Jetty versus Kane. Kane, heavy favorite there. The Mardu Pyromancer, a favorite to move on. On his side of the bracket, the Eldrazi Tron versus Pyromancer. We got Tim Connolly versus Mike Ferguson. Now, Mike Ferguson, we saw earlier, he's playing Through the Breach. Tim Connolly playing Jeskai Geist? Yeah, Jeskai Geist. Not Control, but Geist. With the full 4 Spell Queller. The Logic Knots, the Lightning Helixes, all the stuff you come to expect. So that's what he's playing. A toss-up of a match. But generally one that I think the Geist of St. Traft is a little favored in. So we're looking at a potential Mardu Pyromancer versus Geist match in the semis. That's one we'll be sure to cover. That would be a good match. And on this side of the bracket, Chris Tourloukis versus Evan Whitehouse, the winner of this match, which is going into Game 3, will play against the winner of Ben Riley, who's playing Cheerios, and Thomas Arena, who's playing Mill. A match that I'm shocked that is not just over by now. I still see him playing over there. It's like amazing that match wasn't decided on turn 3 games in a row. Here comes Ed Money with a report from the outer tables. What do we got, Ed?
I have bad news for Trash Wizard Scum. Looks like Cheerios has already pulled out the match victory against Mill.
Wow, okay.
Blue-Red Breach is up a game against Jeskai Geist, and Tron was up a game and looking very advantageous against Mardu Pyromancer.
Wow, so
which
it's
is
kind of the opposite
how I would expect that match to go. Even with Blood Moon,
Really?
There's no velocity there.
Okay, fair enough.
You're still just going to go ahead and map into Wastes and cast Thought Seers and Reality Smashers.
Fair enough. So I thought that Kane was favored in that match, but it sounds like Jetty might move on.
I've had Michael DeCoste renowned Mardu Pyromancer player. Picked up that deck essentially as soon as it hit Magic Online, and I say that pretty much Tron is, of any flavor, is an extremely poor matchup. But what have we got going on here?
So it looks like we're only 1.5 turns into the game, right? Chris has a Vial. Evan again hitting a lot of Narcomoebas, developing the mana base.
Gotcha.
So not a heck of a lot. I don't know if Chris has a Rip or not. I haven't seen his hand. Arbiter. So Chris setting up the mana denial plan. The question is, will it even matter on the draw?
I'm just going to continue to take dredges, but Evan only getting to dredge 3 here instead of having Stinkweed Imps. Well, he does hit a Stinkweed Imp.
Ooh, and an Amalgam, but no Bloodghast as of yet.
No.
So what does Evan have here for his turn 3? He would love to do something like Cathartic Reunion, discard Bloodghast. He would love to somehow hit an Archimevo. And this is the point in the tournament, everybody, that if you hear us talking a little less, if you hear us being a little quieter,
Gotta be a little quiet.
we have to make sure we do not compromise the integrity of the matches, that people are playing for money and invitations.
Right.
That would not be fair.
Right. We are in the same room, probably 30, 40 feet away from the competitors, so do want to make sure that nobody overhears information that they're not supposed to know.
Right.
And there's that cathartic.
He has it. Oh my
Pitching.
God. Wow, he has it all.
Yeah. We're
He's
taking natural draws.
He has to hit land. He's trying to hit a land so he can get back his Amalgam and Bloodghast. And he didn't hit it. Really unlucky by Evan. I mean, look at his graveyard. It's very few lands, and in 3 draw phases, he didn't hit a single land. That might have been the opening that Chris Tourloukis needed.
Out of 20 land in Evans's list.
Chris Tourloukis draws the 1 of Zealous Persecution. This seemed so unlikely a turn ago that Chris could even have a chance in this game, and now look at it.
He's got a shield against any Bloodghasts coming into play. I mean, even if Evan does get to put those into play, that's when he'll deploy that Zealous Persecution and get to Kraken for more damage here.
So Chris, Shambling Vent. He has a lot of lands in his hand. He's trying to decide, do I Sculler now or do I Sculler during the draw step? What do I do?
There is that Conflagrate in Evan's hand. Dredging 5 from Stinkweed Imp.
And yeah, a good point from AK in the chat. Could have dredged, likely hit a Life from the Loam and cast it. It wasn't a sure thing, but then again, neither was drawing land. So this is a draw step.
Definitely. I think we were both surprised that he took all 3 draw steps there.
Right. No, this has to just be Life from the Loam. Prevents the land drop. Taking Conflagrate does very little. Stinky very little. Thoughtseize does take Zealous Persecution, but I just have to think that's nice, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Right. It's a good tool to have.
It's secondary.
Yeah, completely agree with this.
Gross.
So Evan's spinning his wheels here.
I hate chicken nuggets.
Oh, yes, I'm very sorry.
Here's our Thoughtseize. You have 1 target.
Land, Zealous. Chris kept a mana-heavy hand. with no rest. It looks like you were right. Andrew Jetty did appear to take his match from Kane, so Jetty moves on. The Eldrazi player wins. He's on the other side of the bracket from this match. So Chris has a lot of good draws. He has Field of Ruins, he has Ghost Quarters, he has spells. Anything but a land or an Aether Vial, that is pretty brutal for Chris.
Just standing up, he's shambling vents and firing away.
Mm-hmm. Double block Arbiter. Chris is fine with that.
Not upset with that whatsoever.
Not the worst thing. Evan takes only 2. Goes to 16.
Yeah, chooses to double block the Arbiter.
14, looks like. Excuse me. Chris up to 19.
Give me a break, Chris. I am a million times the person you will ever be. When I die, I will be far better remembered than you will ever be.
That's true. Yeah,
So here comes Life from the Loam.
Give me a break. I do not consider pride a sin. Yes.
3 lands to the hand. Trying to fuel an eventual conflagrate. Chris desperately searching for rest in peace. A lot of good draws. Rest in peace, of course, the best. He could also hit something like.
I'm just astonished by the inconsistency that Evan. I mean, look. Chat, you have. I have hopefully dispelled that trauma. We have.
It might be back though.
At any time. At any time. Jackie, I just did go and have a talk with the parties involved. They're playing casual plane chase commander,
The most competitive of formats.
and they are very passionate about it. So I just had to talk with all of those players. Thank you. Zack all deploying as much of a shield against that as is humanly possible. All right, back to the action here. I feel like we may have missed a little bit there, but
Yeah, I don't know. The argument was better. What's even happening in this match? They're only playing for $500 in an invitation.
Come on, Darren.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be able to stop laughing for hours.
no, that is immortal legend James Jones. Everybody.
Oh my god.
Like, for example, I know that
All right, what's happening here? Chris, did Chris draw a spell last turn, or did he just bash? He just bashed with Shambling Net. That's it.
That's it.
My
That
god.
mana heavy hand is not continuing.
I'm the only one here who keeps his face clean shaven, first of all. So then that's definitely. All right, yes. I know. I'm certainly. I may not be.
All right, let's see what's going on here. Looks like a lot of cards in this soul graveyard. Think this looting from Evan Whitehouse. I'm not annoyed. I just can't stop laughing. Ed Hinton laying down the law on this EDH match, on this Commander plane chase. He is pulled out his baton. He's rolling up his sleeves. He took off his watch, guys. Oh, like, I'm gonna get a camera on this. Hold on.
Wait, one day there'll be a rule on this world.
Whole graveyard, whole library in the graveyard.
Whole library in the graveyard.
Yeah,
Whole
yeah.
library in the graveyard.
I wish I could get that hype for Magic still. So despite all of this, look.
There's just a whole bunch of nothing?
Yeah,
Just-
I mean, Chris is at 20 life. He's still at 20. Ugh. What?
We've... We have definitely, now that we have the whole rigging set up for streaming, maybe on a spare Saturday we just need to put those guys on the camera and record.
I think so, but I'm worried about our expensive streaming equipment.
To Jackie, you are absolutely correct. Local legend.
I'm gonna roll the dice, you white tack.
I would be highly surprised if Mr. Jones had a Facebook. I'll put it that way.
Trying to find him in the background here. Nope, not in the background of either shot, everybody. I'm sorry.
Just at an angle that we can't grab it. Can someone call a judge on these commentators? We've been at this for how long? I think we're losing the plot a little bit here. But
What plot? There is no plot at this point. Look at this.
This is just not a lot going on, right?
Right.
I don't see, unless I've completely missed, I don't see any conflagrates in the graveyard. Oh no, there are conflagrates that look like they just got put in, and there's just not much going on either side of the table. I think Chris has been flooded since the start of the game here.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. A third Aether Vial drawn. And he's not playing him, which is a little weird.
Oh, Ace Snook 1 and giving you grief, sir.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that all of these things are true. I can't debate it. You didn't mention my terrible driving skills and my sloppy Magic play, but hey.
Ding.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right about the Dredge. He has something like 5 cards left in his library, but I think Chris has so little going on that it won't end up mattering much.
Probably one of the most bizarre matches that we'll see all day, for sure.
Yeah.
I can't put this on for you.
3 mana. All right, Chris. You better draw something.
Just to the parking lot so we can allow for some brawl in here.
Right. Here we go. We are maximizing camera
Material on the board for Chris Tourloukis. Gets a play.
time. Chris never scooped Tourloukis.
Definitely not Matt Stone. Definitely not Matt premature scooper Matt Stone.
Matt Stone doesn't know the name of the card Grape Shot.
Oh goodness.
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 What's he doing?
Here we go. All Evan Whitehouse needs to do is turn his creature sideways.
Do you like the whole graveyard spread out in front look?
I'm really triggered by that look. Come on. It's above your battlefield. Like, if someone walked over, they would have no idea what's going on.
It's not real magic. Like it's just not actual magic.
Right. It's true. Has he cast any spells except for Cathartics and Faithless?
All right.
There's the Great. There's the hand.
Okay.
Evan, victorious.
Maybe we can move on to there's probably not a good, honest game of Magic to be played here, right? It's going to be a blowout one way or the other.
In this top 8?
Yes.
Well,
Oh, Evan, that was game 3, sorry.
that was game 3. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Chris falls. Evan moves on. The match slip gets signed, and we have 3 of our top 4 competitors. Is Ben confirmed?
Ben is confirmed. Let me see if there is a result in our blue-red breach Jeskai Geist.
Okay. Also, you can go get John Jones if you want to. We can put him on. He's John Jones. Yeah, I see 4 results filled out there, everybody. So I think we're not even going to need to take much of a break here. So what do y'all want to see, right? So we have 2 matches left, okay? We have Cheerios versus Dredge. And on the other side, we have Eldrazi Tron. He's playing against either Through the Breach, Blue-Red Through the Breach, or he's playing against Jeskai Geist. So Eldrazi Tron versus like a semi-fair blue deck, or Dredge versus Cheerios. I'm personally leaning more a little towards Eldrazi, just because it'll be a match with interaction, rather than like Cheerios versus Dredge. But that's just me. In case you're just joining us, the 4 players left in this tournament are playing for an invite to the Titanium Finals, $5,000 cash tournament, invitation only.
What do you want on coverage for your quarter?
Exactly what I was looking for, Sam. Thank you. So we have Blue-Red Breach versus Eldrazi Tron, and this non-interactive matchup here. So we're going to say that we're going to play Eldrazi Tron. We're going to play them on camera because, like we're saying in the chat, Cheerios probably just going to run over this Dredge player. We'll see.
It's not going to be good. Need every abrupt decay post board for that.
Yeah. Judge Sam says Stoneface, it's not going to be good. So we're going to go Jetty versus Ferguson. Ferguson on Blue-Red Through the Breach. The players that fell in the quarterfinals, in case you just joined us, in case you didn't hear us when we said it, Kane Rionhard with Mardu Pyromancer, Tim Connolly. Apologies, Tim, for not getting you on camera. I am sorry about that. You're the only player in the top 8 we didn't get on camera. Sorry. You're on Jeskai Geist, Evan Arena, or excuse me, no, Tom Arena with that awesome mill deck that we saw. You can check the YouTube archives for that. That'll be going up. And Chris Tourloukis with his Eldrazi Taxes deck. Congratulations. You guys, you win some cash. Come back next time. Maybe win the invite on February 18th.
In 2 weeks.
17th, excuse me.
Yep. Did not get a close enough look to go over the decks, but I'll focus on our match that we are about to have unfold before us. I think Blue-Red Breach. I know Eldrazi Tron has got to be the better matchup to cover here.
Yeah, I mean, unless something goes really pear-shaped, Ben Riley is easily going to take this versus Dredge. I mean, what could even go wrong? Like what? Ben Riley mulls to 4 looking for the guy and misses?
I mean, I've seen him do that. I've seen him mull to 3.
Okay,
Yeah, like,
okay. And the funny part is, if he mulls to 3 and has the Pure Steel, he's probably a favorite. Right, because Dredge is like a turn 5 deck.
It's just not interacting with the board in any meaningful way, you know? So, yeah. Can certainly put off those creature decks with annoying blockers like Stinkweed Imp and the like, but Grape Shot don't care. Grape Shot don't care.
Great prize split, but our Andrew
Okay, guys, so we got some news. It looks like Ben decided to do a really nice thing for his opponent, Tom. Not sure if they know each other or what the... I keep saying Tom. Sorry, guys. Evan Whitehouse. Did a really nice thing in Scoop. Not sure why, but he did, and Evan Whitehouse moves on to the finals. So Evan Whitehouse and his Dredge deck will play
In the final.
the winner of Ferguson Jetty.
We've had a lot of situations with a number of different players where they are actually unable to play in the finals. They're unable to make that date, so create some situations in the top 8 where, you know, all the players reach a prize split and, okay, I'm just going to go home. There's no reason for me to play. So looks like Evan Whitehouse will continue to play it out, looking for that invitation. Jeez. That invitational spot. We'll let both of these players shuffle up. Let's take a look at deck lists for both of these players. See if there's anything really out of the ordinary for either player. Michael Ferguson is on the blue-red breach. Goes ahead and sets aside 7 cards for Emrakul to Aeon's Torn and through the breach. But can also sideboard into 3 Madcap Experiment and 2 Platinum Empyrean. Don't think that does too much in this matchup. But does dedicate some sideboard slots to it. Otherwise looks pretty normal for the typical blue-red breach deck. 4 Bolt, 4 Visions, 4 Opt, 2 Spell Pierce, 4 Remand, 2 Electrolyze, 3 Cryptic Command, 4 Through the Breach, 3 Blood Moon, 4 Snapcaster Mage, 1 Vendilion Click, and 3 Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, including 16, 17, 22 lands. So that's it on Michael Ferguson's